Hello. Welcome to my first ever Facebook Live on my personal page. I'm normally over at my business page, basically at meals. I do a Thursday night wine about it, nutrition topic, and I drink wine over there every Thursday. But I decided that I wanted to maybe share some of my topics on my personal page and help more people, hopefully. So, thanks for being here today. My first ever Lunch and Learn Live. So basically the point of me doing this is because I understand that you want to be healthy, but sometimes you feel like you're making food decisions against your own will. And I know that because I've been there. And I've coached a lot of people through that. So you know what you should do, but you just don't do it. And I totally get that. Coming from someone who has a degree in nutrition and exercise physiology, knows what she should do and doesn't do it, I get where you're coming from. So I have been through this, especially this topic today, how to not eat everything in your house as soon as you get home from work. I've been through that and I got out of it, and I want to help other people get out of it because I know how awful that is. I have a ton of clients who have been through this and no longer have to go through that. So that's what we're talking about today. But my name's Hayley. Obviously you know that because you're on my page. My business is basically at meals. I got my degree in Nutrition and Exercise Physiology from Mizzou, and I started working as a nutrition educator. And in that job, I just realized how big of a struggle, how many people are struggling with making good food decisions. And in that job, my whole job was to just stand up in front of people and talk to them about food and choices and all of that. And I just felt like that was not really helping anyone. Me telling someone what to do didn't necessarily translate into them being able to put that into their life. So that's basically when my business basically at Meals was born, because I started creating all of these tools to help people get out of some of the situations I was running into people experiencing, and some of my own situations, the eating everything from the pantry as soon as I get home. I don't want to go through that anymore. So how can I get myself out of that? So really started making all of those tools, and but I didn't have a space for them to go. So now with hi Jackie, now that I have a business, I actually have a space for all of these things, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. Basically, I just want to help. I get it. I've been through it. So okay, what are we talking about today? All right, how to stop eating from the pantry or the fridge or the freezer, everything as soon as you get home. And I'm gonna start by explaining why that's happening, because a lot of times, for me, I didn't understand why that was happening. I just thought I was a bad person, or that I didn't care about my health. And then we're gonna go over the specific tools that you can use not to do that anymore, because I know that you don't want to do that anymore. So all of this, this whole eating everything as soon as you get home, I used to think that started with me as soon as I walked in the door from work and couldn't control myself from eating everything. That's where I began. But this whole thing actually starts way before that. We're gonna start with the morning of, but it really starts before that. It starts with the decisions that you make in the days leading up to this happening. So we're gonna start with the morning. The morning you wake up, I would wake up, snooze my alarm a bunch of times. I would finally get out of bed and run around my house, basically looking for clothes to wear and shoes. And then I would I distinctly remember opening my fridge and just standing there for 3 minutes and being none of this is edible right now. I need something I can eat right now. I need breakfast, I need lunch, I need a snack, and there's never anything in there. Now, I had stuff in there, a bunch of kale and a thing of celery and other random items that like I'm like, well, I can't eat this right now. Like I'm a nutritionist, so I have kale in my house, but like that isn't coming to work with me and like making me feel full and satisfied for the rest of the day. So I would stand in front of my fridge, and eventually, you know, it was like, I have to go. And so maybe I had breakfast, maybe I didn't. I certainly had nothing packed for lunch. And so by the time we got to lunch, I was like really hungry usually. And at that point it was like, okay, we either try to find something, and some days I did and some days I didn't. Some days I was out on the road, and so I would go into a gas station and like look for some nuts, or like sometimes I had those really gross like veggie with ranch things, and I'd like look at it like, this is all brown, like, you know. Sometimes I would just get chips and popcorn, you know. Either way, it was like my lunch was unplanned. It was just as hectic as breakfast maybe or maybe not was, and it was just as unsatisfying. Like I was carrying that energy from breakfast of like, oh, what am I gonna eat, into lunch, and lunch was never like a good experience. And by the time I was driving home, I was super hungry. You know this feeling, and like you're sitting in traffic, you're like, I'm so hungry. I would always be like thinking about like all the things that I wanted to eat, and that's just our brain. That isn't anything wrong with like you or anyone, any individual. That is what your brain does, because it wants to be fed. Like it's like, why have you been starving me all day? This isn't nice. I want to eat everything possible. So I'd spend my like drive home thinking about what I wanted to eat and how quickly I could get it in my mouth. And I would also spend my drive home thinking about the fact that I'm not going to do it this time. Like I'm not going to eat everything this time, and I'm definitely, you know, gonna like willpower my way out of this, and I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna make a good choice. I'm definitely gonna eat that kale. And inevitably I'd get home and like just run in the door and like eat the first thing that I could, and eat like basically until I was like stuffed and like, you know, satisfied, but not really. Like you're standing up eating like out of the pantry or the fridge, and there's no satisfaction that comes out of it. You just feel guilty. And for me, it was like, I did it again. Like, like again, Hayley, like how could you do this? And that does not feel good. That never feels good. Like it's like you did something against your own will, and now you're beating yourself up for it. And it's just awful. It was an awful feeling. So that at that point, you know, maybe I had dinner, maybe I didn't, but if I did have dinner, inevitably it wasn't a good choice, because I had already messed it up. Like it was like, fuck it. I already made all these bad food decisions. Like I might as well just eat whatever at this point, you know? And that was my afternoon, evening experience. And every morning, the next morning, it was like, all right, we're not going to do that again today. And it would go down the exact same way. It never changed until like I stepped out of that morning routine and was like, okay, we actually need some tools to like figure this out, because figuring it out in the car or like using your willpower when you get home is not a solution. It does not help at all. It doesn't fix the problem, and it never will. So like I said before, like this whole thing doesn't begin when you walk in the door from work and open the fridge, freezer, or pantry and start eating. It begins way before that. It begins that morning, but even before that begins, you know, maybe over the weekend or a few days before. And you either have something like ready to go, meal prep, you've gone grocery shopping, that's when it begins, like making that decision. Like I'm going to go to the grocery store, and I was going to the grocery store, I just wasn't buying things that I could like grab and go. Or, thank you, Jackie. I wasn't stocking my house with stuff that I could like eat at work or on my drive home. So for me, it began with the decision to like go to the grocery store and actually buy useful things. I'm not saying kale isn't useful. Kale is wonderful, but like buying snacks that I could actually eat at work, or on my way home from work, buying food that I would cook into lunch. So there was a time when I didn't meal prep at all. I would just kind of like fly by the seat of my pants, as I was saying. But like making the decision to like have stuff that was like easy to eat or like easy to meal prep, so that, because I really had this like thing, I was like, I don't really want to meal prep, or I don't have time, whatever it was. Just having anything that I could eat, like that was easy, that I didn't really have to meal prep. So it begins with that, that decision to either meal prep or buy something that you can easily grab and go, like snacks, really easy snacks. And for me, the next biggest step after that was actually having a plan, like a written out plan ahead of time. I know that sounds like, what the hell are you talking about? But saying, okay, today at lunch, I am going to go across the street to Deerberg's. I'm gonna go to their salad bar and I'm gonna make myself a salad. And that's my lunch. Like having that plan so that at lunchtime when I'm super hungry, I don't spin out into like, well, I could do this, or I could do this, or, you know, there's a buffet in the lunchroom at work, or I could, I have that like old snack bar in my desk, or like you spin out into all of these different options, and then you end up like choosing the worst one. It's like, okay, I guess I will just eat the cake, you know, like what? That's not a good decision. So actually using your real like human brain to make a plan ahead of time, and then just following that plan is going to save you in the moment when you're like, I don't know, and you just spin out into all of these options and end up choosing the worst one. Or you don't choose anything at all, and then you're really hungry on your way home from work, which that was me too. So having that plan, having things available at your house so that when you do snooze the alarm 6 times and you're running out the door, like you've got something, anything to grab and leave the house with. So leaving the house with food, super important. I recommend things that are non-perishable. So you can leave them in your car, even if it's 100 degrees. You can leave them in your purse. And those items are, they look like protein powder, super easy. All you have to do is mix that with water. Sometimes I would even bring the whole entire protein container. Like I was like, I don't have time to put this in a bag, or like, you know, it was just like, I'm taking this whole protein container with me. I'm just gonna sit in my car until I use it. And as long as you have a cup and a drinking fountain, you have a snack. Trail mix is another favorite of mine, and not like the pre-made one that has like chocolate in it. I just buy a bunch of different nuts from Trader Joe's, I mix them into a bowl, and then I scoop them out into baggies. It's homemade trail mix. Super easy, not too expensive, because those nuts themselves might seem expensive, like $6, but you make like 100 bags. I mean, it's an insane amount of trail mix. So that's a great option. And then, guys, can you hear my dishwasher? It's making so much noise. I didn't think about that before I went live. Okay, so we are leaving our house with a snack or something to eat. And then we have a plan for lunch. And we make this ahead of time. It's not like at lunchtime we write our plan out. It's like the beginning of the week. We say like, all right, this day, at this lunch, I'm gonna eat something that I meal prepped, or I'm gonna eat that like already ready to eat item from my house. That's what I'm having. Like I already have food in my fridge to eat. Or this day I am going to the salad bar at the grocery store next door, and I'm gonna make myself a salad. And like we already have a plan. We've got snacks in our car that aren't gonna go bad, and we leave the house with this plan. Because most of my clients like don't eat lunch. And so of course you're gonna be so freaking hungry when you get home that you're gonna eat anything you can find. Like whatever is there, that's easy. You're just like, oh my God, give me whatever. And that's how it was for me. It was like those old like stale tortilla chips and like my leftover like piece of steak from last week and like cheese. You know, it's just like random stuff that I could find and like eat really fast. And you don't want to be there. And that is totally a result of like not planning ahead. And I think the most important piece of this is that you make this decision ahead of time. So you decide that you are going to grocery shop, or that you're going to meal prep, or that you're going to buy meals from someone else. Once I discovered that that was an option for me, that's what I did. That's what I do. I buy my own meals, you guys. Like, I used to not do that when I first started Basically at Meals. So I was meal prepping for people, but I like actually was just prepping for them. And once I was like, why am I not getting, so then I was still stuck with like grocery shopping and meal prepping, which is so dumb. So once I was like, why am I not buying my own food? Like, my whole life changed. It's like, oh my God, like I can do fun things on my Sundays. Well, this Sunday was Easter, but like I go hiking on Sunday, or like I go hang out with my friends and my family. I don't have to grocery shop. I don't have to meal prep. This week I won't ever have to go to the grocery store. Not once. Because I'm already taken care of. I can leave the house at any point all day long, 12 hours, and I know that like I won't ever be hungry. I mean, I might be hungry, but I won't ever not have something to like fix that or solve that or like eat. So, but you have to make that decision. And for what I did for a long time was I didn't make the decision. Instead, I just every day was like, I'll fix it today. Like, I'll use my willpower today and it won't be a problem. And it was inevitably a problem every single time, because fixing it in the moment isn't, relying on your willpower is not a solution. That doesn't do anything. Okay, so willpower is great, but at the end of a long day, when you have basically been starving all day, your primitive brain kicks in and it's like, we aren't gonna let you treat us this way anymore, and like we're gonna get our way, and then you end up eating everything in the house. So willpower is not a solution. It does not help. It doesn't do anything. And waiting until like the day of and saying like my willpower today is gonna fix it, is you're gonna continue to do the same thing every single day. So making a decision that you're gonna find some sort of solution, that's the number one tool to not eating everything in your house when you get home from work. That decision. Okay. So, you know, it can be like committing to meal prepping. It can be committing to writing that plan out and knowing that this day, this is what I'm eating. This day, this is what I'm eating for lunch. Having snacks always with you in your car, in your purse, that aren't going to go bad. So you don't have to be like, oh my God, a rotten banana in there. That's disgusting. That's happened to me. And especially like we're going into like summer, you stick something in your car and you're like 2 days later, like, why does it smell so bad in here? Oh yeah, just got food rotting in the back. So making that decision that you're going to take care of yourself ahead of time is that is how you get out of this. That is it. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Please, please, please drop your questions or comments in the comments here. I'm gonna do more of these. So I would love to know any like topics that you would be interested in. And until then, I'm just gonna choose from like the list of topics that I already have from questions from people. But like whatever is relevant and real for you, like whatever you are going through or experiencing, that's what I want to help you work on or get out of. So please let me know. Don't be shy. All right. So if you want more free content, I do a ton of like free content, recipes, all of my tips and tricks, and they're actually written out in like a space where you can like read them or print them. And I do that mostly by email. So if you go to my website, basicallyatmeals.com, and you scroll to the bottom and enter your email address, you will get all of those recipes, tips, tricks, hacks, everything that I send out every week. So go do that. And join me next week because I'm going to do this again. Same day, same time. So next Tuesday at noon. What's that going to be? April 30th. I don't have a topic yet. I would love for you guys to pick the topic. So drop that in the comments and yeah, we'll cover whatever you want. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick something. So I will see you next week. Bye.